Veterinarian assistant Christopher Miller is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old cashier Jessica Welch, for having him falsely arrested for assault. Jessica claims Christopher bit her.
All rise. Yes, case number 15 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Welch. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Miller, it is your claim that the defendant, who was living in your home, along with her mother and her child, filed false charges against you for domestic violence. You want to be compensated with the return of your bail and some additional amount of money to compensate you for what you went through. The defendant says that she filed for a protective order because the ultimate reason was you called her 3-year-old some bad names, right?
Yes.
How did she come to be in your house?
Ma'am, Jessica Welch and I had a relationship. Our relationship started the ending of September, beginning of October. She moved in, ma'am.
Why did she move in?
We had a relationship. I was physically attracted to her. We talked a lot, had a lot of things in common, ma'am. My wife moved out.
When did your wife move out?
About the end of September.
Okay, so your wife moved out in September. You began a relationship with the defendant, and when did she move in?
Beginning of October, ma'am.
Don't like to be alone?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Miller?
No, ma'am.
Are you living alone now?
No, ma'am. I'm back with my wife, and we're working things through.
Good. You still didn't tell me why she moved in.
She was living with her stepfather, ma'am, and I guess her stepfather was doing a lot of yelling. It was a bad environment for her son, CJ.
So that's why you allowed her to move in to your house, plus the fact that you liked her.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right so far, Miss Welch?
Yes.
You had been living previously with your mother?
My mother and stepfather, yes.
And they weren't getting along?
No.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Did you work then?
Yes.
What kind of work did you do?
I'm a clerk at a convenience store.
Full-time, part-time?
Full-time.
And your mother?
She works for a big satellite company.
Tell me about why you filed for a protective order against him.
There was an argument that Chris and I had.
When?
Right before Thanksgiving. It's the end of November.
Okay.
He had been drinking. He had argued with his wife on the telephone. He was promising to take her out for their anniversary. And being as they were separated, I didn't agree with that. We got into an argument about it. As I turned to walk away, he came after me. He ran after me and grabbed me and knocked me down to the floor.
Shh. Mr. Miller, I know you want to respond. You're going to have an opportunity to do that. Came from behind you.
He grabbed me from behind and knocked me down to the floor. I ended up went into the bathroom to cry because...
Well, what happened after he knocked you down to the floor?
After he knocked me down to the floor, he went back into the kitchen because my mother got into the middle of it. My mother watched and she separated us.
Were you arguing with each other?
Yes, we were.
Were you physical with him?
No, I wasn't. I turned and walked away from him.
Did you say anything to him?
No, I was like, I'm done. I just turned and walked away.
Okay. That was in November?
Yes. And then later that evening, we went to bed. I was putting blankets and pillows in between us so that we didn't touch while we were sleeping. And he leaned over and bit me on the left breast.
And where did you sleep that night?
I ended up sleeping on the floor that night.
And the night after?
The night after was back in the bed with him.
Well, what happened the next day?
The next day, he said he didn't remember. He had been drinking a lot. I tried to tell him what happened. He just blew me off and ignored me. He just did not remember.
Well, that's November. Did you stay together in December?
No. Monday after the incident occurred, I got a restraining order. And
you got a restraining order when?
I got a restraining order the end of November.
I'd like to see it, please. Now, one of my questions to you is, you moved into his home.
Yes.
You, in effect, had him kicked out of his own house. Why didn't you and your mother and your kid leave?
At that time, we didn't have any money because we paid off the rest of his deposit when he invited us to move in, and he added our names to the lease.
Mr. Miller, you
Yes,
added her name to the lease?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
That was very stupid.
Yes, it was, ma'am.
What was that Forrest Gump line, Bert? Stupid is as stupid does?
That's the one.
Right. Okay. Now, He wasn't arrested on this domestic violence charge. He was arrested for outstanding warrants that he had when you filed the complaint. What kind of warrants did you have, Mr. Miller?
Misdemeanor, ma'am. They were being intoxicated in public and in public.
You didn't learn not to drink, Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am. I go to classes now. Yes.
You should have gone to classes back in November.
I was doing that, actually.
Not successfully?
No, ma'am.
Okay. This case was ultimately dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
Assault case was, yes.
How come, Miss Welch?
But because pretty much he got my boss, my ex-boss and old co-worker to lie for him.
You mean this case was tried?
Wasn't tried after the prosecuting attorney talked to the witnesses he had. She didn't feel that it was necessary to move forward because if we went to jury, we wouldn't have got anywhere because it was an attack on my character.
But this is the case on which you base your complaint. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Because she had you arrested not at the time of this incident before Thanksgiving, but she waited. Isn't that right, Miss Welch? Because when you called the police because he said bad things to your son. You had not gone to the police with regard to this incident where he pushed you and bit you, according to you. You did not go to the police until, according to you, he said some things to your son that you didn't like, and then you decided to go to the police and report the domestic violence. Isn't that what I read?
That's pretty much what you read, because if he's calling my son names...
Exactly. I just answered my question, my dear. It wasn't until after he called your son a name that you went to the police and complained about this incident that had happened days before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me about the incident involving your son.
We were sitting there. He'd been drinking the whole day again. My son was playing, and he called him stupid, called him retarded. And I know if he's calling my son names, he's going to hit my son next. He hit me. It ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to touch my son.
Well, he didn't touch him, did he?
No, he didn't. But if he has the audacity to call my son stupid and retarded, this is also the same man that has the audacity to assault a woman. He has the audacity to assault a child, too.
Why didn't you move?
I had nowhere to go. I don't have family in Idaho.
Well, listen to me. You know this man for a couple of months. This man isn't your life. You're there with your mother. Go to a shelter. I mean, why are you staying there? This isn't your husband. You don't have a child together. You don't have a life together. He had a house. You needed a place to stay. Mr. Miller says that you moved a friend into the house. Is that true?
No, I did not.
Did you have a friend come to stay with you for a period of time, Miss Welch?
I had...
Just look at me. Don't look at him. Look at me.
I had a friend stay for a couple of weeks.
And the friend's name?
His name is Tony.
Tony what? And how long do you know Tony?
I'd known him before Chris. I'd known him for about 5 months.
Where did you know him from?
From the same place I met Chris, work.
And why did you invite him to stay at a house?
He had just gotten out of jail. He came, he came and he needed a place to stay, so I let him stay.
Was Mr. Miller in agreement with that?
He said that first night that Tony stayed that, yes, he was in agreement with it.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Ma'am, she moved Tony in. I was not aware it was her ex-boyfriend.
Look at me. Don't look at her.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Apologize. Ma'am, it was her ex-boyfriend. He came on the 12th, on Friday, when this assault supposedly was supposed to happen, ma'am. On the 14th, I came to her and asked, why is he still there? She told me he got a job, he will be moving out. On the 14th, it's when the cops came to arrest me, ma'am. When I was arrested, she got a restraining order as soon as I left the jail. I bailed out, ma'am. I was no longer welcome back in my home.
Where was Tony?
Living there, man, in my bedroom. And I do have a letter saying that...
Don't tell me a letter. I don't do letter.
Okay, ma'am, it's a letter from her to Tony. Sorry.
Oh, a letter from her?
To Tony.
That I'll see. Show this to the defendant, would you? What date did you write that?
It was February of this year.
Where were you living?
I was living in the house where I'm still currently residing, where Mr. Miller moved out of.
So you're still there?
Yes.
Can I have that note back, please? How come you're still there?
My mom and I are trying to save up enough money to find a new place to live. It's kind of hard. We're having a little trouble getting the money up.
So
to
Tony's
find a
sort of
place.
helping you?
No, Tony's no longer around.
When did he leave?
Tony left, it had to be March this year. He wasn't living in the house. He had his own place, and I was going to move in with him, but I found out he's been hanging out with Mr. Miller, so I decided that was not the best.
You have a 3-year-old child?
Yes.
Why don't you grow up? Why don't you grow up?
I'm working on that.
You're not working hard enough. You keep picking losers, that's your business. If Mr. Miller is honest with himself, and right now he is probably clean and sober, he knows that he's not a winner. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Miller?
Yes, that is a very fair statement, ma'am.
And clearly Tony, who just got released from prison and needed a place to stay, is also not a winner. And you and your mother, who didn't have a place to stay, 2 adult women with jobs who couldn't find a safe place to stay for their 3-year-old son and grandson, clearly are not winners. You better grow up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
After 72 hours, it's not toxic.
Well, did your bird die within 72 hours?
It died immediately of him standing with the process.
Well, then what I'm telling you, madam, is you should have taken your animals out of the house.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christopher Miller says ex-girlfriend Jessica Welch took out a false restraining order against him. Jessica claims Christopher physically abused her and verbally abused her young son.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am.
You probably don't remember what happened the night in November when things got a little tacky with Miss Welch. There isn't a question in my mind that she used you. There is also not a question in my mind that the reason you called the police, Miss Welch, is that you wanted him out of the house so that Tony could be there unencumbered. Not that he called your son stupid, but that he had already told you. Tony was going. And Tony didn't go. Tony stayed, according to you, for 2 weeks after he was out of the house. At least 2 weeks. So I think you had an ulterior motive for calling the police on him and having him arrested and having him removed from his house. Mr. Miller, I think that your conduct in getting sloshed and not acting appropriately didn't help things. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
But I don't think that Miss Welch filed for a protective order because she was legitimately afraid of you, which is the only reason that you filed for a protective order. Not for another reason, not because you want an apartment, you want a house, you want him out so that you could bring another boyfriend. And those aren't legitimate reasons for filing for a protective order because you've sworn in your application for a protective order that you are in fear. And you weren't in fear. You were only in fear if the 2 men stayed in the house with you at the same time. So, Mr. Miller, I think that you behaved probably a little bit badly. But certainly that was not the reason that she called the police. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of bail, $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her boss, her co-worker, and her ex-boyfriend was on my side, too.
He wins again.
Even the good guys win at times.
I have a good heart and I'm a good person.
Judge Judy's the bomb.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lubbock versus Nunez, step forward, please.
Real estate agent Donna Lubbock is suing business owner Jack Nunez for the cost to replace 3 parrots. Donna says the birds died after Jack sanded her floors.
Miss Lubbock, how old are you?
35.
What do you do for a living?
I sell real estate.
How long have you been a real estate agent?
Almost 4 years.
Do you have any college degrees behind you?
No degrees, but I have 2 years of junior college.
And your husband?
He's a deputy sheriff.
You have ongoing training?
Yes, ma'am.
And you, sir, what do you do for a living?
I'm a tile contractor
How long have you been doing that?
since '73.
Okay, now let's get to the case. Miss Lubbock, you had 3 parrots. How long had you had them?
My oldest African gray I had for approximately 15, 16 years.
And what's their life expectancy?
40 to 60 years.
And the other 2?
My severe macaw I had for about 3.5 years, and also for my Timna.
And this is what the lawsuit is about. You hired Mr. Nunez to come in and sand your floors in your house and seal them. And he did that.
Correct.
And your parrots died.
Correct.
So you want him to pay for your parrots, their vet bills, the casket, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
What did you do in preparation to your house to have your floor sanded?
We didn't do anything. We just took the birds outside.
When you sand floors, what comes up?
Generally dust, but he was using a wet sander, so you don't see dust particles flying all over.
So you're telling me there wasn't any dust in your house?
My birds, I had taken them outside.
I'm not asking you about your birds now. I'm just asking you generally.
Oh.
When you sand floors, there's usually
Dust.
dust. You don't have to be a college graduate to figure that out. 35-year-old real estate agent with 2 years of college could figure that out, that you have dust. And when you seal the floors after the sanding, they seal it with,
Chemicals.
and the chemicals usually,
Toxic.
don't know toxic, but they usually smell.
Yes.
And they do have places where you can board animals while you're doing things in the house, just as if you were going away. Who are you?
I'm Donna's mother, and I was
Do you
there.
live with them?
No, I don't.
You have your own house?
Yes, I do.
Could have taken your birds to your mother's house.
Yes.
You chose to keep your birds home. One, I understand from your complaint, died outside. 2 of them, however, died in the house. That's your fault. That's not his fault. If you had a baby, do you have children?
I do, and she was also in the house.
Well, then
we were
that is
outside.
something clearly wrong
We
with
were
you.
outside when this happened. We had gone outside, and they opened the windows. My birds were on the patio outside of what we thought was harm's way. He never told us that there'd be a toxic gas. You could not smell the dust. You couldn't see the dust in the air.
Why were you outside?
Because it was a nice day, and we were trying to stay out of their way.
Well, if that's the only reason that you were staying outside, I'm glad your child is well. You have to accept responsibility. This was your fault, not his fault, because if you're having somebody come in and whip up dust, whether they use a wet process or a dry process, it whips up dust. When you seal it, it stinks.
It was already sealed, and we went to the
Now,
manufacturers.
listen.
After 72 hours, it's not toxic.
Well, did your bird die within 72 hours?
They died immediately of him sanding the process.
Well, then what I'm telling you, madam, is you should have taken your animals out of the house. That's your responsibility. And if you didn't take them far enough away from the house, that's your responsibility. That's not
It's
Mr.
his responsibility
Nunez's
to tell me the
responsibility.
dangers
Miss
of-
Lovick, it's harder to accept responsibility for the death of your birds than it is to blame it on somebody else. Life starts with accepting responsibility. It's your fault.
I tried to expect responsibility of the death of my birds. I only asked for him to pay the vet bill. There's
Just a
no way.
second, if you accept responsibility...
He agreed to pay my vet bill.
I'm speaking. If you accept responsibility for the death of your birds, he doesn't pay anything.
He never once mentioned that there was a toxic chemical or gas that could be released from sanding our floors. The birds were outside. They opened the windows, and that's what exposed the birds to the fumes and the silica.
Miss Lovick, accept responsibility. It's your fault. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
17-year-old Brycey Bassey and her mother, Carletta, are suing Tatum Hood for damage to their vehicle. Brycey says she was picking up her sister from school when Tatum hit her car.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Now, this is case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Bassey versus Hood. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Who was driving? You weren't there?
No.
You're her mom?
Yes, I'm her mother.
She looks like she can take care of herself. If she can't, you can't help her because you weren't there.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Bassey, according to your complaint, you and the defendant got into sort of an altercation. You were going to pick up
my little sister.
your sister in school, and you were going to pick up
My son.
your son. And as a result of that, it is your claim that the defendant damaged your car. The defendant says that your poor driving was the result of the damage to your car, and you actually ran into her car. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pull that a little bit closer to me so that I can see it a little bit better up here, Bird. Miss Bassey, you're the red car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go over and put your finger over there, please. That's where you were coming from, and you were making a left turn into the parking lot?
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant was coming straight.
She was coming straight, and she didn't have a signal on. She was like right here where the curb is, where the driveway ends, and then she decides all of a sudden to, oh, I need to turn. And so when she turns, she comes.
Shh, don't speak.
She comes and she turns so close to the curb, and I'm about to turn thinking she's about to pass by, so I stop to prevent from hitting her because it's a very congested area. And she turns in, and then I turn in after her.
Well, so far, you understand she had the right of way.
Yes, ma'am.
You did not. So, okay, and what happened next?
I honked at her.
Why?
Well, because she didn't. I honked at her because she didn't use her signal.
Well, that's not a nice thing to do, Miss Bassey. That's not an appropriate thing to do. She had the right of way. So right there, you were wrong. You had no right to honk at her because she had the right of way. Whether you think she had a signal on or not, she says she did. It doesn't make any difference. In a congested road, and you're going across 2 lanes of traffic coming from the opposite direction, and she is on the side of the road where she could make a right turn into that spot, she's got the right of way. So, A, that's one for her team. You had no right to honk the horn. So what happened after you honked the horn?
We pulled up into the driveway area. We're right here where you pick up all the kids. And I honked twice to get my little sister's attention. When I honked twice, she thought I was honking at her.
Again?
Yes, she thought I was honking at her again.
Well, now let me ask you this question. How many kids are outside?
A lot.
What do you think it would be like, Miss Bassey, if everybody honked their horn a couple of times to get their little sister's attention?
Well, yeah,
is there something wrong with your legs?
Well, no, she wasn't that...
Just listen. Was there something wrong with your legs?
There was nothing wrong with my legs.
Then if there's nothing wrong with your legs, you stop the car, and you get out of the car, and you say to your little sister, here I am. You don't sit in your car and honk the horn. We're going to go step by step. I haven't gotten to her yet, because I have a feeling you didn't behave reasonably either, because I read your answer.
No, ma'am.
And it's amazing to me that 2 women, you know, usually it's the guys that get into these jock wars, but 2 women behaving badly? How old are you?
17.
Well, you better go back to driving school and etiquette school, because so far you're not #1 on my hit parade today. So you honked your horn for your sister, and the defendant thought you were again honking at her. That's what you assumed. So what did she do?
She flips me off and starts waving her fist behind me. She turns around and she just starts doing the little hand things and yelling.
Not a nice thing. Just a second. Not a nice thing to do.
You're right.
Okay. So she gestures to you in an obscene gesture. What happens next?
I looked at her and I threw my hands up like trying to say, no, I was not honking at you. And, you know, she's still yelling, and I was yelling back at her. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to
So now
honk
you're
at you.
yelling at each other?
Yes.
Good. Go ahead.
And then after that, my little sister does see me, and she comes to the side of the car. And the defendant is still very angry that I had honked at her. And, you know, we were still arguing with each other. And so at this time, I was trying to move. I had my little sister in the car. I wanted to get out of there. It's very busy. She doesn't move.
Well, where's your car?
Right here.
So you're behind her?
Mm-hmm. So she pulls up a little bit, we pull up, and then, you know, she's still mad. And I honked at her again. I'm like, can you please move?
All right, so why are you honking?
She wouldn't move.
Why does she have to move?
She could have moved, but
why,
she was...
Now, why does she have to move?
Well, her son had already gotten to the car.
Look, I'm looking at your car, and I'm seeing what you did. So you pulled out, according to you, you pulled out because she's not moving, and you pulled around her.
Yes, after she did it, but no, I got out the car. I even got out the car and said, will you please move? Is she still cussing me out?
Can I ask you a question? Why? Miss Bassey, what? Stop it!
Yes, ma'am.
Why are you still arguing with her and imploring her to move when all you had to do was drive around her?
At the time, there was still cars going. There's a lot of cars still going through. And then when she was free, she wouldn't move. I was behind her to a place where I couldn't really squeeze around her this way or squeeze around her this way, but I managed.
Because everybody's picking up their children.
Yes.
Keep going.
Then I did manage to, because my car is small enough, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can squeeze around her. I was able to squeeze around her, and I drove all the way to over here to the drive area. Then she comes all the way, she drives over here, rolls down her window and said, is this the way black people act? And I'm like, what was that supposed? I looked at her kids in the car, and they appeared to be biracial to me. And then I looked at her again, I'm like, what was that supposed to mean?
Okay.
And at this time, yes, I mean, we were cussing each other out. She then says, do you want to fight? And I'm like, do I want to what? And my little sister gets out of the car.
What'd she get out of the car for?
She got out she's like, do you want to fight? And my little sister's like, what do you want to, she got out, she's like, what do you want to fight for?
Where's the little sister? Step up here. Move over there. What did you get out of the car for?
Because at that time, Mrs. Hood had opened her door like she was going to get out, so I'm like...
Sounds like a perfect reason for you to stay in your car. If somebody, according to you and according to your sister, is acting like a lunatic and says, do you want to fight, doesn't sound like the kind of situation you want to say, sure. Now, what's your first name?
LaQuise.
LaQuise, genius, what did you do when you got out of the car?
Well, I got out of the car because, you know, by that time I was really mad. And so I guess I wasn't thinking. I got out the car and then, you know, I kind of went over to her car and then...
So you kind of went over to her car?
Yeah,
What
by
does that mean? That means you went over to her car?
I walked
or
over
you
to
didn't
her
go
car.
over to her car? What?
I walked over to her car.
And what did you say when you walked over to her
And
car?
I really didn't say anything. I was waiting on her. She said she was going to get out and fight. And I'm like, is
And
she
that's what
serious?
you were waiting to do. You got out of the car to
yeah.
fight her.
I mean, I was
Another
going to see if
genius.
she was
Miss
serious.
Fassy back there, you should be very proud of them so far. Are you following me?
I am.
Right? So far, I'm looking at your mother and I'm looking at you two, and I got news for you. I don't think that your mother would have reacted the same way that day that you did. Right, Miss Fassy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When people behave badly and they have no defense for their bad behavior, they infuse racism to try to inflame the fact finder. Listen to me. It doesn't work.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Brycey Bassey says during an argument at a junior high school, fellow motorist Tatum Hood rammed her car. Tatum claims Brycey and her sister threatened her life.
Okay, so after you got out of the car and walked over to Miss Hood's car because she said she wanted to fight, I assume at some point you got back into the car.
I walked over back to my sister's car, because, you know, she was about to turn right by then. But then Mrs. Hood hits my sister's car, and I was shocked. I had no time to get back in the car, because that's when she turned out.
Well, just a minute. Your sister is making a turn from the wrong lane.
No, this is to go right. I went left after she had to hit my car. I was not even moving when she hit my car. She hit my car on purpose.
You mean she plowed into your car, you were standing still?
Yes, my car was not in motion.
Okay. And you have photographs of this car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Oh, that's a lot of damage. All right, Miss Hood, ball's in your court.
It was January 19th, 2005. May I go over here? I went to the school to pick up my son that's here. I'm the blue car here. I'm coming down Tyler Road. I believe it would be south. She's coming north. She is right here. As she said, it's very congested. There's lots of cars. If she would have been, like on her chart, over here already turning, there was tons of cars coming. I did have my blinker on.
Listen to me. She was wrong. I already said she was wrong.
Okay. So we turn in. When we turn in at Wilbur, there's also, there's like 2 lanes like this. I stay in this lane. We never got over here because to get over here, you have to stop up against the school, and there's buses and handicap parking. I stayed in this lane. As I was turning, she started calling me all out of my name. She called me a white bee. Go back to driver's ed, learn how to drive. I'm going to kick your butt. As we stopped, I stopped here. She was behind me. She honked. I thought she was honking at me. Stupidly, I flipped her off. I never shook my fist at her, nothing else. She got out of her car at that point in time, come up, beating on my window, was screaming, I'm going to kick your butt, but she was not saying butt. Get out of your truck, you white bee this, white bee that. I rolled down my window. I said, you need to go get back in your car before you embarrass yourself. She went back into her car. We both proceeded to go. She spun around me. She's still screaming. I'm saying some stuff. We get like we're right here, and she is calling me all out of my name still, profanity, racial slurs. I am married to a black man. I am not racist. I rolled down my window. I said, you are giving young black women a bad name. You should not act like that. I would never allow my daughter to act like that or my son. She's like still using profanity, still cussing, and she's like, pull over her. By this time, the other sister was screaming at me too. Pull over, we're gonna whip your butt, blah, blah, blah. She starts to go. I take off. Bam, I hit her. She's barely like this. They're gonna pull over. They're trying to cut me off to fight. She never got out of the car. I hit her. When I hit her, we stopped. I probably stopped for 30 seconds. I'm not going to lie. Both of them at that time got out of the car. She was never out of the car till after I hit her. And then they were screaming, "We're going to kill you, you stupid white bee," blah, 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 calling me racial. I can't believe it has turned into a racial thing. It's so sickening. And then...
No, it's not. It's not.
pitiful.
Listen to me. Listen to me, Miss Hood. It's not racial here. It's not racial in this courtroom.
You're right.
Sometimes when people behave badly and they have no defense for their bad behavior, they infuse racism to try to inflame the fact finder. Listen to me. It doesn't work. Go ahead.
Afterwards, I leave because I don't know what they're going to do. Brycey then jumps back in the car with the younger sister that she picked up who's in the back seat, chasing us. I'm stopping at stop signs, stopping at stoplights. Each time we stop, she's getting out of the car, trying to come up to the window, still screaming. When we see 2 cop cars coming, I pull into a parking lot. She pulls in. When she pulls in, she stops. She gets out of her car. "I'm going to mollywop you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to beat you up."
May I please see the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
And then
I want to see the police report.
the cops that pull up are telling her to get back in her car. She don't. They restrain her. I'm sorry.
I want to read the police report. You told the police you got out of the car.
My sister got out of the car.
Brycey, you signed the statement. You said, before that, I got out of the car and asked what the problem. And one continued to yell at me.
When I got out the car, that's way before whenever we were still in the school area.
You didn't tell me that you got out of the car.
I did. I said I got out of the car and asked her to move.
No, you told the police you got out of the car and asked her what her problem was.
Yeah, I asked her what the problem is. Can you please move? I was not honking at you.
Did you do the wrong thing that day?
Yes, I did.
How much of this accident was your fault?
I would probably say, I don't know. I'm not going to say that it was the least of my fault. No, it was not. I shouldn't have honked at her. You know, that's the one thing. I shouldn't have honked at her. And then when I honked twice, I probably should have yelled for my sister. Or, you know, then after I got out the car, you know, instead I should have probably just sat there and waited for her to move.
Yes, you want to say something?
For what it's worth, I just want to say that I did speak with Mrs. Hood regarding this accident 2 days later. I went over to Mrs. Hood's home because I got the police report. I didn't have insurance. I was going to file the insurance, and I needed to know where she lived. The police did give us her address. And I went. She was very polite. I didn't have a problem with her. Mrs. Hood told me she was having a bad day that day. She said she was in an argument with her husband's nieces, and, you know, she was upset, and she was already tensed up and upset. And she did tell me she intentionally hit my daughter's car. She never denied hitting her car, but she also proceeded...
She said, just a second. Are you telling me, Miss Bassey, that Miss Hood said I intentionally hit her car?
Yes, she did. Those were her exact words to me. Yes.
Interesting. Is that what you said to her?
I said I hit her daughter's car. I never intentionally hit it. She was coming this way to cut me off. I did hit Brycey's car. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't hit it.
No, I know you did. I have the pictures to prove that you did. I'm just surprised that Miss Bassey is telling me that you used the word intentionally. I mean, I can't imagine anybody intentionally hitting somebody else's car.
Oh, that's what she told my daughter and myself. And she also told me she left the scene of the accident. I don't agree with Brycey chasing her. She said she left the scene of the accident not because she was afraid of my daughter.
Not just chasing her, Miss Bassey.
She left because she said she was unlawfully driving her truck.
Listen to me. I got it. I don't believe this story. I believe that what your daughter did was pull out, speed around her, and I believe that when she pulled out and sped around her, Miss Hood caught up with her.
No, I don't believe that, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Because Brycey wasn't moving when she hit her.
No. Listen to me. I said Miss Hood caught up with her. She pulled around her fast in a school pickup zone. That's what your daughter did. She had an attention span and a fuse that was about this short. And she created a situation in there because she's got a hot temper, and she wasn't behaving like a mature driver. Neither was this one. But she's not the plaintiff. She is. So you had, according to your complaint, $4,000 worth of damage to your car with no insurance.
No.
And all I'm asking...
She had insurance.
Insurance.
Yes, we had insurance.
Oh, good. So how much did the insurance pay?
We didn't want to file the
No.
insurance.
Well, you better.
Insurance does not take care of damages that have intentionally been done to the car.
Well, listen to me very carefully. I would file with my insurance carrier if I were you. Ordinarily, if this was solely her fault, I would say, Well, why should you file with your insurance? Because that means your premiums are going to go up.
Yes, which they would have.
You're absolutely right. They would have, because she's a 17-year-old driver who was involved in an accident. But this accident was partially her fault. So I think you ought to file with your insurance company. Now, what kind of deductible do you have?
$500.
Good. Ms. Hood's going to pay that. But you file with your insurance company. This accident was partially your fault, and that's what you have insurance for.
Even though Mrs. Hood agreed to fix her car? She agreed to fix it.
Listen to me. Then you don't come to court, Miss Bassie. Then you don't come to court. But if you come here and you're asking a fact finder to make a determination of what the right thing to do is, in this case, the right thing to do is because your daughter was at least 50% responsible for what went on that day because she did the wrong thing. She may have caught her on a bad day. That's the way sometimes you catch people. What? She was not in a hurry to go to a summit meeting. So she waits her turn, and she takes an extra couple of minutes, and her sister doesn't get out of the car in an aggressive stance. She's not picking up her baby sister, who's 3 years old. Your other daughter looks like she can well take care of herself, and she's got an attitude. So that's what you have insurance for. Miss Hood has to accept some responsibility for what she did, and she's going to cover your deductible. Put it into your insurance. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Real estate investor Nicole Han Hamilton is suing her stepson, 22-year-old barback Jason Hamilton, for loans to retain an attorney and to pay restitution. Nicole says Jason was arrested for stalking his ex-girlfriend.
Your Honor, this is case number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Hamilton versus Hamilton. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Hamilton, this is your stepson. Is this your husband?
Yes.
Oh, a little background. I gather from your complaint and your answer that you were divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
From his mother. You can step up here, sir. And for most of his life, you'd had very little contact.
That's correct.
More recently, you contacted him, or you contacted your father? Which way?
I contacted him.
Son contacted you, and you began to build a relationship. Now, Jason has had a troubled adolescence. Is that a fair statement, Jason?
Yeah.
And it is your claim, Mrs. Hamilton, that your funds were used to help Jason out when he got us into some trouble with the law.
Yes.
For an attorney, for restitution payments, and at that time he was in fact living with you. He comes to live with you. Jason says that the lawyer was your idea. He was perfectly happy with the public defender, and that the restitution he has paid for by working it off while he was living with you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you, Jason. How old are you?
22.
What were you in trouble for, Jason?
Aggravated harassment and stalking in the fourth from my ex-girlfriend.
Okay, so let me hear about the first loan that you claim for his lawyer.
When we bailed Jason out on September 18th of last year, Jason was not happy with his public defender at all. He verbalized this to both my husband and myself.
What did he say?
He said he didn't feel that he was going to fight for him. He felt that the public defender just wanted him to plea out to anything and get the case over and done with as quickly as possible. And Jason did not want to do that. He wanted to fight it. He didn't want to be charged, and he didn't want to violate his parole from his previous court case and actions on that.
What were you on parole for, Jason?
Arson.
What burned down, Jason?
Garage.
Go ahead.
On his first court date after he was bailed out, we went and got him an attorney.
Who's we?
My husband and I.
Go ahead.
After that, as far as with the restitution, initially he had to live with us as part of us bailing him out. And when we decided we were moving out of the area, he was given the option to move with us or stay in the area, and we would figure something out and work it out. He decided that he did want to move with us. So my husband and I paid that restitution from his previous case in order to free it up.
Case?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other part of the restitution was for the current case. After everything was settled, there was $100 restitution.
So he
from
pled
that.
guilty. You pled guilty in the current case involving your ex-girlfriend.
Right. I couldn't afford the lawyer anymore, so I had no choice. And I can't...
Were you, at that time, that the matter was scheduled for trial still living with your father and stepmother?
No.
Did you ever pay the lawyer any money?
No.
So it was just a $1,000 retainer that you paid the lawyer?
Correct.
Yes.
That was after Jason moved out, after
Correct.
you had the altercation in your house with him?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton, so far I haven't heard anything about a loan.
Before Jason was bailed out on the phone conversations, he was informed that anything that was pertaining to this legal case was a loan and was to be paid back. That was one of the conditions of him being bailed out. Jason made comments about how he was not like his sister, who also we had a problem with before that. He was not like his sister, and he would pay us back that money. That was said numerous times, and at the end of Jason's stay in our house, because everything was a loan, I had him sign a promissory note.
Well, I know Jason says that note, you sort of forced him to sign the note because you said you were going to have his bail revoked if he didn't sign the note.
That
okay,
was not
Jason,
how it was
well, I'm going to
worded.
turn over to you now, Jason.
When I was on the phone with them before I was bailed out, I was not told that it was a loan.
I'm sorry, that's wrong.
Shh.
I moved in with them. I did not know I was going to move in with them. I thought they were going to bail me out, take me home. But instead they brought me to their place, worked for them. My work would be to pay off whatever I did.
Well, what kind of work did you do, Jason?
I helped him, their construction business.
What did you do?
Labor. It was, unload the truck, load the truck, help my father, stuff like that. As far as me with my restitution, like I said, I never asked for the money. I never asked for any of it. I just simply said, when they went to pay it, I said, you don't have to do that. They said, oh, no, don't worry about it. I said,
No,
okay.
that's not what parents say, Jason. They don't use the word, oh, don't worry about it. They might have said, when you get yourself together, we hope you'll pay us back. Does that sound right? Huh?
Yes.
That sounds right. Life is so simple, Mrs. Hamilton. That's what parents say, even if they have an ongoing relationship with their children, if money is tight in a household. You don't say, well, this is a loan, and you will pay me back so much each month on this loan.
Your Honor, in the beginning, he did agree. Before I bailed him out, I told him, if I bail you out, you've got to pay this money back in a timely fashion, and you've got to get your act together, because the lifestyle he was living is totally, I'm afraid he's going to end up in jail for the rest of his life.
Where's your mother?
She's back in Buffalo.
Did you live with her all your life?
Yes.
Are you still in touch with her?
I live with her right now.
You have a sister?
Yes, I do.
How old's your sister?
19.
She in trouble?
No.
What kind of trouble?
Well, when we had her with us, she steals, she lies,
She's never been to jail, but she is a very emotionally troubled person, and she's been in and out of, she was in a group home at one point.
Jason, tell me about the conversation you had with your father about the lawyer, about the public defender.
I was going to get a new PD to begin with, because the guy that was representing me, he just didn't know what he was talking about. He had no clue.
What do you mean? Just a second. What do you mean you were going to get a new PD, public defender? You think that they give them out if you don't like one, you get a chance to get another one?
Well, that's what they were going to do. When I got rid of...
You live in a very good jurisdiction. If a criminal defendant came before me and said, I don't like that lawyer, I want to get another lawyer, you know what I would say to them? Go hire your own lawyer. You want to pick and choose? Go hire your own lawyer. This is the public defender for the day. You don't like this one? Get some money and go hire your own lawyer. You know, this is not one from column A and one from column B. You get one chance. Do you understand, Jason?
Yeah, I understand.
Good. Are you working now?
Yes, I am.
What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a barback at a banquet hall.
Hope this New York State Liquor Authority doesn't know about that. Is this arson conviction that you have a felony arson?
Yes.
Woo-hoo! Hope they don't value their liquor license. Listen to me, Jason. I want you to listen to me very carefully. I am not so concerned about the $1,000 that your stepmother and stepfather put up for the lawyer. I think they're going to have to tolerate that, because I think that That's what parents do if they're afraid that their child is going to be confined. And I'm not so sure that that was alone. But I'm concerned about the restitution, Jason, because what possible value is it to your moral compass if somebody else pays your restitution? Restitution is what you're supposed to pay, right?
I understand that. I was paying it.
How? I don't understand how you were
was
paying.
working
With money I
beforehand.
gave him. Just a second.
Not just money you gave me. I was doing odd jobs here and there.
Well, you paid some of it, but they paid the
I was
rest.
paying on
Just
it.
a second. But they paid the rest. Well, paying the rest, it doesn't teach you any kind of a lesson. That's your responsibility. That's not your father's responsibility. That's not your stepmother's responsibility. That's your responsibility. The criminal justice system doesn't want to see. What do you do for a living?
I'm a real estate investor.
Doesn't want to see this lady who works. What do you do for a living?
I'm an investor also.
I don't know what that means, but life is too short.
Buy real estate.
They don't want to see their money going to pay your restitution. They didn't set fire to the garage and they didn't stalk your girlfriend.
I didn't either.
Well, then you lied to the court, sir, when you pled guilty.
I didn't know, what am I going to do if I ain't got money?
You know what innocent people do? They go to trial.
You have
just a second, Jason. You're 22 years old, is that what you
Yes.
told me before? How many times have you been arrested? Think, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. How many times have you been arrested?
13 times.
13. Shh. Come on. 13 times. 22 years old. And how many convictions do you have, Jason?
I have 4 convictions.
I have 5 children. How many kids you got?
4.
9 children altogether. Not one arrest.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Miss Knapp, if someone tried to kill me with a car, I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Han Hamilton says her stepson, Jason Hamilton, owes for loans to retain an attorney and to pay restitution. Nicole says Jason has been arrested for arson and stalking.
You've been arrested 13 times. That cannot all be a mistake. The 4 times that you were convicted is not a mistake. The last 2 times that you pled guilty, I mean, you know the system, evidently. You're smart enough to know the system, that if you want a new PD, all you got to do is stamp your feet around, say, I'm not getting good representation. What you're supposed to do is not do things that get you into any trouble. Do you understand?
I know that.
Okay. And if you didn't learn the first time, and if you didn't learn the second time, the 10th time, you should have learned. By the time you got to the 12th time, it should have been bells go off in your head. Now you're at unlucky 13. Jason, you're 22 years old. You want to die?
No.
You don't care?
No, I care. I'm working now. I'm going for my GED. I have my life on track.
Good.
That's
then
what I
pay
was...
your restitution. The lawyer, it's yours.
That's fine. I
He's
just
gonna,
wanted him to learn a lesson.
He's
about
going to pay his
responsibility.
restitution. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $695. That's all.
Thank you, Al.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I look at them as just white trash. What are they going to do? Sue their own son when he hits 18 for all the stuff that they paid for him?
As people can see, he is a punk. He'll always be a punk. I wash my hands with him. I got a beautiful 14-month-old son. I'm doing it right this time.
Smoking pot. I'm in probation. I don't want to get involved in no pot.
He's the one that smokes the pot, and I told him I didn't want it in my house.
I don't have a father. That's the way I look at it.
I'm here to guide you and show you the proper way. If you don't want to do that, I'm done.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Knapp versus Wheeler. Step forward.
Delivery truck driver Barbara Knapp is suing her ex-boyfriend, steelworker Claude Wheeler, for purposely driving her van into a ditch. Claude claims he swerved to miss a deer.
Ms. Knapp, it is your claim that Mr. Wheeler, who used to be your boyfriend, wrecked your car.
Correct.
And in addition to the damages to the car, you want some money for pain and suffering. I don't know what pain and suffering you want. You'll, I'm sure, explain it to me. Tell me about the day of the incident.
Okay, on December 28th, I do believe, we went grocery shopping, stopped at a bar and had a few drinks and was coming home and...
Okay, what time did you get to the bar?
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
And how long did you stay at the bar?
Oh, possibly an hour, maybe. No, not that long, because we had groceries in the car, so about an hour then, say.
Is that right, sir?
Correct.
Okay, you stopped at a bar, groceries in the car, went home, on your way back to
On
the
our
grocery.
way back home, and we were discussing just things, and an old boyfriend was brought up because he was apparently came into the bar, and I had made his comment that he's still loving my life, and he didn't like it, so I don't know what was said, but then he swatted me upside the head, in the back of the head, and then I had told him that that was it and it was over, and he proceeded to say, oh, I'll show you that, and he drove my car down into the ditch. The next thing you know, a pole's coming, and we were headed straight for the pole, and he turned it just enough to go past the pole, but in the meantime, we kind of got wedged into the ditch and had to go out the windows to get out, and then I was just kind of in shock, I do believe, and
okay.
That was that.
Well, we were driving home that night. I had a few drinks, and we were arguing, and I was looking at her.
Try looking at me.
I don't recall slapping her upside the head or striking her. We were arguing, and I was looking at her, and when I turned my eyes back to the road, there were deer in the road, and I swerved to the right to miss the deer, and as soon as we got to the edge of the road, the snow sucked us into the ditch. I didn't do it intentionally.
Don't remember the deer?
There was no deer. He did it on
Okay.
purpose.
And you issued a report?
Mm-hmm.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That is the traffic report. Okay.
Shh. You have any other police reports?
No, I went to the trooper's barracks to try to get the actual report from my statement and his statement, but apparently they do not let that out. They don't.
Your Honor, I have a signed statement of her from the night of the accident.
Can
right
I
here.
see it, please? That's what I'm looking for. Well, you did sign a statement on the 28th of December, Ms. Knapp.
Okay.
You didn't say anything about him purposely damaging your car. You say at about 2 or 3 o'clock, my boyfriend was at my house. He had a margarita, which was left over from last night. At about 7 o'clock, we went grocery shopping at Wegmans and then went to Jit's Bar for a couple of beers and pool. He had 2 or 3 beers there. Then we started home. Claude was driving. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden, we were going towards the ditch. I didn't see if there was a deer, just that he was going towards the ditch. You didn't tell the police that he tried to kill both of you?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I just was still in shock from all of it, and I just didn't. I just was going to go with the story with the deer because I just was in shock because that's what he wanted me to say, and I just didn't.
What happened?
Notice, Penal Law Section 210.45, in a written instrument, any person who knowingly makes a false statement which such person does not believe to be true has committed a crime under the laws of the state of New York and is punishable by a Class A misdemeanor. And that's what you signed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason why you think, Ms. Knapp, that I should believe you now? Ms. Knapp, I have a couple more questions for you. When did you and the defendant separate?
It was,
Around the 1st of February.
So between December
The 5th.
28th and the 1st of February, you still lived together?
No, we did not live
We
together.
just dated,
And you dated the same way that you were dated before?
pretty much.
It wasn't this, not in my eyes, because it was over in my eyes, and I just wanted to get a deductible from him, so I kind of.
Which I did pay. I paid the
He did pay
$500
the- yes.
deductible.
But I figured if I broke up with him, I wouldn't have seen any money or nothing, so I kind of just had to hang in there to get my deductible, and.
You
And
know,
then a month and a half later, 2 months down the road, she's after for this $5,000.
that's not going to happen.
Thank you.
Ms. Knapp, if someone tried to kill me with a car, I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else. And if you did, that's your problem. Bye. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
22-year-old homemaker Deidre Green is suing her former friend, 23-year-old homemaker Pam Richmond, for throwing away her belongings. Pam says she abandoned them.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 507 on the calendar in the matter of Green versus Richmond. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Green, according to your complaint, you lived with the defendant for a period of time. While you were away on a trip, you claimed that she threw away some of your stuff and kept some of your stuff. You wanted to either replace it or give you the value, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you move into her house?
Because me and my sister had this argument, and she wanted me to leave, so I had nowhere else to go, so she offered me to move into her house with her.
When did you move into the house?
Late March, early April, somewhere around there.
And how long did you stay?
About 4.5, 5 months.
You say you took a trip to Texas. When was that trip to Texas?
November 17th.
What did you tell her when you went to Texas?
I told her I was going to Texas, I will be back. And she's like, okay, fine, all your stuff, you know, things will be here once you get back.
How long did you go for?
2.5 weeks.
Who else lived there? Did you have children with you?
My son.
Did your son go with you to Texas?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And what happened when you got home?
When I got back, I tried to contact her.
What date did you return?
December 1st.
Did you go directly back to your home?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Where did you go?
I went to my friend's house.
Why did you do that?
Because I tried to contact Pam numerous occasions, and she never answered the phone, or there's no way I could have got back into her house.
You didn't have a key the 4.5 months you were living there?
No, I didn't. It was a military house, and no duplicate keys were able to be made at all.
Well, when did you first make contact with her? You said first you didn't answer the phone, you couldn't get in touch with her.
I couldn't get in touch with her.
Yeah?
I had her cousin, LaShonda, get in touch with her.
Step up.
Which
one is LaShonda? What's your last name?
Green.
When did you get in touch with the defendant?
Probably 2 days after she went back to San Diego, because I was still in Texas. I called Pamela.
And what was the conversation that you had with her?
Well, I called Pamela. I was like, did you want me to call you to see if you can return her stuff or not, or she was on press charges? And she was like, well, do what you want to do.
Well, there had been no communication with regard to any stuff so far that I had heard.
Well, her clothing, all her personal belongings, all of them are gone. She said that
well, how do you know
them out.
How did you know they were gone?
She told me.
When did she tell you?
When I talked to her on the phone. I talked to her plenty of times.
Who are you?
I'm her mother. I'm Deidre's mother.
Miss Green's mother?
Yes.
Plaintiff's mother? Yes.
I called.
Were you with your daughter in Texas?
Yes, I was.
Did you travel with her to Texas?
Yes, I did.
Where do you live?
I live in San Diego.
And where do you live?
San Diego.
Why doesn't your daughter live with you?
She does. She does.
Well, why was she living with the defendant?
She was living with the defendant because the defendant offered her a place to go at the time.
Why wasn't she living with you?
She wasn't living with me because at the time I wasn't living here. So she could not stay with me.
Not yet. All right. What items do you claim you left behind?
I only took a week's worth of clothes with me and only one pair of shoes for me and my child. Therefore, all other pairs of shoes, my VCRs, pictures, legal documents that I cannot get back, such as my high school diploma, is gone. All the clothes, everything I practically owned is gone.
Okay. Those papers, documents, et cetera, that you would have to replace, put those aside for the moment. Other than the VCR, what appliances or furniture did you leave there?
My VCRs and my bedroom set.
And a bedroom set?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you moved in with?
Yeah, besides my clothes and everything, yes.
All right. Do you have her VCR?
Nope.
Did you have her uncross your hands. Did you have her VCR?
Yep.
Try yes, not
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
You're not in a ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Where's her VCR?
In the trash.
Why did you throw it in the trash?
Because she left me with a phone bill, 2 phone bills that she did not pay. She had plenty of opportunity because I did not throw her stuff out until December 28th before I got ready to go on vacation to Texas.
Did you try to contact her with regard to the phone bills?
I don't know how to get in contact with her. Her mother called me 3 times.
When her mother called you 3 times, did you tell her about the phone bill?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell her how much the phone bill was?
She already knew how much it was.
Did you tell her how much it was?
No.
How much was the phone bill?
Both totaling is $175.
And those were her calls?
Yes.
Can I see those, please? Now, what about her bedroom set?
It's gone too.
What did you do with it?
I gave it to Goodwill.
Did you get a receipt?
Nope. Didn't want it.
Hmm?
Didn't want it.
They didn't want what?
I didn't want the receipt.
These were your phones to Pendleton, California and Vista, California?
Pendleton and Vista, true enough, yeah.
Are your phone bills? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. But when I left a message on her phone about a phone bill that I got. I said, well, when I get the money, I will give you, the amount for your phone bill. She never got back to me about the phone bill at all.
Did you leave her a telephone number where you could be reached? You were staying
On
at a
her
friend's
answer
house.
machine, yes.
You did?
Mm-hmm. And she also has caller ID where it comes up on her answer machine. That's how she didn't answer my calls.
All right. What about her clothes?
It was barely anything there.
What was there?
She had maybe a couple old outfits that she didn't wear, and her bedroom set, her VCRs.
Your Honor, can I say something? I cleaned the room up, and I know what was in the room.
I was also there.
Okay, let me hear.
I hate to disrespect, the court and everything, but I'm going to tell you the truth, what was in that room. She had molded bread and paper. I cleaned it out, and she had a couple of rags she had left. It wasn't no VCR in that room. The bedroom set was there, and she did give it to Goodwill. I cleaned the room out when I come from Texas on December 15th. I cleaned the room out on the 20th.
Well, she left there November 17th.
But the stuff was still in the room when I got to San Diego.
That means the defendant is some lousy housekeeper.
Well, she had a lock on the door. My brother-in-law had to kick the door in to get in the room. The room was locked.
When you got there, the room was locked?
The room was locked.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's a lie because Pamela told us she had an inspection, and that's the reason she broke into the house, into the bedroom, and that was way before Miss Faye supposedly had came down. When I called her
when
in December, I called Pam and asked Pam if she indeed had the things. I said, because you and Deidre were friends, you are friends, and you do need to settle this. She said, I don't have it. I said, where is it? She said, my mother threw the away. That's what she told me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deidre Green says former friend Pam Richmond threw away her belongings.
Okay, do you have a bill for your bedroom set?
I don't have a bill, but I have a written receipt for it.
Okay, let me see it. When did you purchase it?
My sister actually purchased it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you when she purchased it.
Why, did she give it to you?
No, I had to buy it from her.
How much did you pay for it?
$175 or something.
All right. The original price was $479, so I will accept that. All right? And what about the VCR? How much did you pay for that?
They were 36 something.
The VCR?
Mm-hmm.
$36?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go shopping with her. $36, right?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Your Honor, she have other receipts for her clothing. She has those.
Well, how do I know what clothing she took and what clothing she didn't take? I have to
Okay.
do some sort of an estimate on what you would take. You were going to Texas for 2.5 weeks, and then you didn't come home initially. You didn't come home at all, but then you went directly to a friend's house, and you stayed at a friend's house, so you must have had enough clothing to last you. I can't believe that you only took one pair of shoes for your child if you were going away for 2.5 weeks.
Well, because we weren't supposed to be leaving that, we weren't supposed to be gone that long, but it took a little longer than we expected. We was only supposed to be gone for 3 days. That's why.
Did you call her, by the way, and tell her you were going to be gone longer?
She knew.
Don't tell me what she knew.
I called her husband. I talked to her husband. Yes, I did.
What did you tell him when you spoke
I
to him?
said, I'm not going to be able to leave until December 1st, around that time, because I didn't have the money to leave.
Did you have a conversation with your husband?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you she wasn't going to be home till December 1st?
No, all he told me is that she called saying that I said a lot of stuff about her and my cousin being, and I haven't talked to nobody in Texas to say any of it.
What did you do with her diplomas, all the other papers that she had in the house? What did you do with all that stuff?
When we cleaned it, I did not see a diploma.
You cleaned out the papers?
I just put everything in a bag. And it was
Who asked you to do that?
Well, I helped my daughter. She asked me, would I help her clean out her room? And I told her yes. At the time when we bagged this stuff up, her mother called on the 20th. When I was cleaning out that room, she said, we was on the way to get the stuff. I said, fine. We sit all the stuff in her dining room. And it sit there till the 28th. December.
You mean you had a conversation with her mother?
Yes,
and she said
I did.
She was coming over
yes,
to pick
I
up
did.
the stuff?
Yes, I did.
Yes?
With
Your
my
Honor,
phone
she's
bill,
telling
her tale. I called her and I asked her about it. She told me it was gone. And I said, what do you mean it's gone? She said, it's gone. And I said, okay, well, why would Pam throw her stuff away? She said, over a phone bill. I said, what is the phone bill? She said, call Pam and ask Pam when Pam get home. I don't
Your Honor, that's a lie. I didn't even know anything about a phone bill.
Okay.
Yes, she did.
All right. Listen, you have no right to get rid of all of her stuff without giving her what I believe to be proper notice. Grandma just came,
We didn't go
threw in
through
the
stuff.
stuff,
We just put it in the bag.
put it in
'cause
bags,
it was stinking in the room.
and got rid of it. It's practically impossible to put a value on all of this stuff. But you say that you spent $175 on the bedroom set, $36 for the VCR, and I am going to give you $500 towards the clothing that you say that you left behind in the house. I don't know how you're going to replace your diploma, except that you call up the school where you got a diploma, say, I lost my diploma and I need it, right? There's a lot more to this story that I don't know, but you can't dispose of somebody else's property. Do you understand that?
Even if it's in my house?
Even if it's in your house. She was an invite. Shut, no. Now I'm speaking.
Whatever.
She was an invitee into your home. You invited her into your home. She was there for 4.5 months. So she lived there with your permission. You have an obligation to give her notice, not some communication to her mother and her second cousin and her sister. You have an obligation to send her written notice. I'm speaking. You can't just willy-nilly decide to bag her stuff and get rid of it. So judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $711. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She don't like how close we are. She got excluded. That's all it is. It's jealousy.
My daughter had 16 people staying in there because they was on the street. No. And when she had in the room, she didn't have no clothes.
If she wanted, she can have it.
Evidently, her and her family needed it more than me and my son did, so there you have it.
And now the next case.
All parties on Smith versus Olden. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Robin Smith says ex-fiancé, 20-year-old retail manager Jonathan Olden, deposited bad checks into her account. Robin says she was left with a $4,000 debt.
Miss Smith, according to what I've read, you and the defendant were dating.
Correct.
And then you were dumb enough to put his name on your joint checking account.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't read my last book, did you?
No, Your Honor.
Get a copy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And Mr. Olden deposited a series of checks into that account, a series of checks that he got from assorted sundry relatives, and the checks turned out to be bad.
Yes, Your Honor.
So far, we agreed on that, sir?
Yes.
But after you deposited the checks, you went and immediately withdrew money from the account, right?
Yes, we both did.
Your Honor, that's incorrect.
Whether you both did or not, you deposited the bad checks into the account and spent all the money, right?
Right.
And then the bank came back against you as primary on the account and said, you owe us all this money because he took it out.
Correct.
And you want the money back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you living together at the time?
No, we were not.
Why would you do such a foolish thing?
We were speaking about moving in together and living together, so I figured it was the logical thing to do.
Who are you?
Her father.
He promised to pay you back the money.
Correct. I have a letter from him to my father stating...
Can I see it, please?
You sure can.
You are Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Step up, sir. Mr. Smith, I assume, reading between the lines, that you made good the money to the bank.
Not completely, Your Honor.
Who did?
Robbins made half of the payment back to the bank now.
And you paid the other half?
Not yet.
Well, how much did you pay? Because what I read is that he promised to pay you back.
It's correct. He didn't pay me anything.
So according to this letter to Mr. Smith, you apologized for not keeping up with your payments. And you begged his forgiveness, said that you would begin to make your payments on April 15th, right?
Right.
So, give me a defense.
The reason why I didn't make the payments because, first of all, when I was working, it wasn't just myself using the money out of the account. She used money out of the account also, not just myself.
When did you decide that?
I mean, it wasn't to decide. That's what
Well, I'm
happened.
asking you, when did you decide that? Before or after you agreed to make the payments?
Before.
So then what did you agree to make the payments for?
For what I felt responsible for. I don't feel responsible for all the money.
Well, how much did you feel responsible for? Give me a figure.
About half of it. About $2,000 of it.
Is that what you agreed to pay Mr. Smith back?
No.
How much did you agree to pay him back?
All of it.
So when I said to you, when did you decide on this recent defense that she spent half the money, that was recent that you came up with that defense, right?
Right.
So give me a better defense.
There's no better defense because we both spent the money. I feel like I'm responsible for it because the checks came from the money and the checks came from my family.
Let me ask you this question, sir. It's not a very difficult case, but I just want you to see the absurdity of your defense. What did she buy?
She bought clothes.
Clothes?
This is what I did. I bought clothes too.
Just a minute. She bought clothes.
Right.
Did she buy clothes because she said, we've got some extra money in the bank, we can go buy clothes?
Yeah.
Right. You think she would have bought those clothes anyway?
If there was no money?
Yeah.
No.
Of course not. So she would not have put herself into debt to buy those clothes, right?
Of course not.
You said, we got some extra money, let's go shopping, right?
Right.
What was the total amount of money that he deposited in the account that he withdrew?
$4,586.
And how many payments did he make to your father?
He made 2 payments in cash to me at my place of employment at the bank of $200 each on November and December 1st.
So $41.86 is what the balance is that right?
Correct.
Why didn't you make the payments in April? Anything, $25, $50, $100.
Because my engine on my car went out, I had no money. I was working, all money was going straight to that.
To your car?
Yeah. To get it was like $2,500 to get my car fixed.
Who do you live with?
I live with my parents.
You live with your parents, so you have no expenses, and you have a car. So are you telling me you couldn't take $100 a month and send it to her?
Now when all my checks were going to trying to get $2,500 to get my motor fixed on my car, no, I couldn't.
Well, how are you getting to work, sir, when you didn't have a car?
My parents or a friend of mine.
That's good. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $4,186. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Magid versus Miller. Step forward, please.
27-year-old Sandy Majid is suing her roommate, John Miller, claiming he was violent and verbally abusive.
How long did you know each other before you decided to room together?
10 years.
Why did you decide to room together?
Because we were friends and he needed to move out of his place because he had a dog, and I moved out of my parents' house.
You weren't romantically involved, you were just friends.
Right.
Now, under this rather bizarre arrangement, reading the complaint, you were supposed to perform certain maid services in the house, like keeping the house nice and clean, doing the cleaning, the cooking, the washing, and he would pay all of the expenses with the exception of your phone bill. Is that the idea?
And the rent. I paid rent.
And you paid the rent, but he would pay everything else.
Yeah, but that only lasted for 2 months. And then we talked about it, and it wasn't working, so we each decided to
After 8 months.
take care of our own thing.
I paid all the bills for 8 months.
But, you know, he wouldn't clean up after himself if he left something. He'd just leave the sauce on the table. He wouldn't do normal maintenance. He'd give his dog a shower and have hair all over the place and water all over the floor. I mean, he didn't even pick up after himself.
It's not true.
Right! And I got one of those home.
Yeah.
And I pay half the rent.
Yeah.
Miss Majid, I don't like cleaning up after my husband, and I love him. You made an arrangement to clean up after this man, and after a while, you didn't even like him. Not too smart.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Could I talk about the pain and suffering?
No.
Okay,
You don't,
and
sir,
then
you don't look like you're in pain, and you don't look like you're suffering
mental
anymore.
anguish. If I
Mental
told
anguish.
you what she
Oh.
put me through.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Majid is suing her former roommate, John Miller, for verbal abuse and destruction of property. John is countersuing for mental anguish.
It's always smart for women to pay their own way.
But we had...
Listen to me, if you pay your own way, then you don't have to take anybody's guff. Right, Bert?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so he didn't clean up after himself.
And I cleaned for about 2 months, and then I paid the other half of the bills.
It was only the utility bills. I would pay all the utility bills if she would do the cleaning, because I paid Sandy in my last apartment $50 to clean the place.
And I did.
And she did a great cleaning job. That's why I thought I'd work out this deal with her. The place would stay clean, and I would pay all the bills.
Well, staying clean is one thing, but you know, you can't be...
No,
what she says you would be a
No, she would
slob.
never clean. Nothing.
Huh?
That's
She
not
never
true.
cleaned a thing.
All right, so you should have moved out after 2 months. You should have gone your own separate ways after 2
Yeah,
months.
well, we were friends for 10 years.
Would you mind telling me what you're suing each other for? You have a suit, you have a
Yeah.
countersuit. You want to tell me what you're suing him for?
I'm suing for my print and my frame here because he threw something at it and broke it.
Can I see it?
Yes.
He admits that he threw something at it and broke it, right?
Yeah.
Why were you mad at her
Well,
picture?
that was the last straw. That was when I had paid all the bills and done the cleaning. Her dog had chewed up my sofa. And then I gave her all the money to pay the bills, and she went on vacation with the money, and I got disconnect notices. I had to pay the bills again. When I called her up and told her, she says, what do I care if they were turned off? I'm moving out anyways. A moment later, when I hung up the phone, that's when I smashed the picture.
All right, so
she
you
was
smashed
moving
the
out.
picture, but that's just the glass on the picture,
That's
madam.
right.
No, it's also that there's scratches on the print.
Would you
and
show
the-
me where, please?
Right there. And right here, it devalued the thing, and right, it messed up the mat.
Well, the mat
and
is...
the frame is all scratched.
Just a second. How much did you pay for that?
For the frame and the picture?
For everything?
$920.
$920?
Yeah.
Where did you buy that?
At the Wing Gallery.
Do you like this picture, sir?
Yeah.
Give it to him.
Yeah, he can have it.
All right.
All right. What else are you suing him for?
All right.
I'm
Here's
also
a couple
suing
bucks for it.
for
I feel like I'm running a tag sale here.
the last month and a half of rent because I wasn't there, because he
Not
was
my fault.
throwing
Just a
things
second.
and being angry.
Just a second. Did you leave?
Yes.
You don't get that. What's next?
So I had to pay for the last month's of rent, and I wasn't even staying there.
But you left. I mean, you agreed to rent this apartment together, right?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So you have a responsibility to pay until the end of your lease. So that you don't get.
It was
What else are you
month to
suing for?
month. Pain and suffering, because, I mean, he would just verbally abuse me, and...
You're not married to each other if you're not getting along with your roommate. Then
But,
you're
I
not
mean,
getting
you
along
know,
with
he'd
your roommate.
leave that place a mess constantly. I mean, it was just like I couldn't win.
Well, now you'll know better. You don't move in with somebody unless you love them, unless you're prepared to have aggravation.
But I couldn't stay there because I
You
was,
say you
I
couldn't
was
stay there.
afraid
You
to
don't
stay
like.
there.
You weren't getting along, madam. You weren't getting along. You knew each other for 10 years.
He
You
was
weren't getting along. You
throwing
moved out.
stuff and yelling.
Oh God. What are you suing her for, sir?
She was supposed to clean the house, which she didn't do. So I'm suing $640, which is half the utility bills, which I should get back.
Because you don't like the way she kept the house.
She didn't clean the place at all. I would do any
That's not
cleaning.
true.
Good. That's why you're not together anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so
All
that's
right.
part of mine.
Just a second. What's the other part? Your pain
That-
and suffering. I saw your pain and suffering
that's
too.
a-
Everybody's
that's-
got pain and
That's
suffering.
really a
Bert.
big part of my case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sir, you don't look like you're in pain, and you don't look like you're suffering
Mental
anymore.
anguish. If I
Mental
told you
anguish.
what she
Oh.
put me through, can I mention a few things?
Mention a few things.
Okay, let's put it this way. After she lost her job, she had a really bad mental breakdown. She went to counseling on Prozac. Next thing I know, every time I would take a shower, she'd run the hot water in the kitchen so I wouldn't have any hot water.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, just like you
Just
told
a-
me you used to lock your mother in the walk-in closet.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Miller, is there
I have a
anything
lot
else
of
you
little
want?
things like that that are sad and ridiculous, you know.
Sounds like what married people do to each other.
Yeah.
The countersuit is dismissed, sir. You just bought a picture for $920. Judgment in the case is for the plaintiff. Hang the picture, put a piece of glass. It's really very nice.
All right. Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll be back to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And
Green versus Jones. Step forward, please.
Sheila Green wants her $5,000 back from restaurant owner Norman Jones. He says he did a lot of work for her, and they're even.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise.
Your Honor, it's case number 156 on the calendar in the matter of Green versus Jones. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Thank you, Bert. Ms. Green, I read your complaint. According to the papers that you filed, you and Mr. Jones met, became romantically involved, and during your rather brief relationship, you made a lot of loans to him.
Yes, that's right, Your Honor.
He was needy.
Yes.
So you want your loans, this money back?
Yes.
Because you're no longer an item.
That's correct.
And for your part, sir, you have a rather interesting defense, and your defense is she was generous to a fault, right?
Right.
And that you did a lot of work around the house.
Right.
So, when did you meet him? How long did you see him? Did you live with him? And why did you start making these loans?
Norman and I met in December of 1995, and at the time when we met, I owned a restaurant, and he owns a restaurant also. So we had a lot in common, and we were sharing various ideas and pros and cons and how difficult it was to actually be an entrepreneur. Several months after that, I was going on vacation for a week out of town, going skiing in Aspen. Norman volunteered to house sit at my house, which I said, okay, fine. And while I was gone, he not only house sat, but I gave him the keys to my car, and he stayed there for the week that I was gone. And so, a long story short, by the time I came back from Aspen, he still had the keys to the house and the car, and I kind of let him keep the keys. It didn't matter to me. And he started staying at my house on a regular basis, and he basically moved all of his clothes in, and he was living there. Shortly after that, then he said that he had some money that was stolen from him, which were the receipts from his business, and he asked me to make him a loan of $1,700. And he drew up some paperwork. I signed that. I wrote him a check for $1,700.
What kind of paperwork?
Actually, Your Honor, I do have a letter that was dated February 26 here. It's a letter from Norman explaining that he's having difficulty at his business. And the next page is a promissory note that Norman drew up explaining that he would repay me my $1,700 within 30 to 45 days, and he would make interest on it. And if he did not repay my loan, he would pay the full court costs involved.
Does that sound familiar to you, sir?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And you didn't work this loan off by doing things around the house?
Yes, if you ask me, I did.
Stop 1 second. Let me take care of this work around the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, according to your answer, sir, which I have read very carefully, you list, I assume, the most important things that you did in the house. Is that right?
That's right.
You repaired a light fixture. How did you do that?
I took the old fixture and put a new one in.
He changed the bulb.
No.
Just a second. I just wanted to find out if what he was saying was he pulled apart the whole ceiling and the walls and did the rewiring in the house.
Not the whole ceiling, but the light fixture I did take out and put a new one there.
Yeah. You said you repaired the alarm system on the house. How'd you do that?
The wiring was no good, so I repaired it.
Just step by step. Tell me what you did. You went over to the window.
Right. Found the traces that come from the alarm system. They were broke, so I put new traces on the...
No, I don't understand that. I've never done that kind of work. You found the tracers, which means you found the right two wires, right?
The wiring.
And you put it all in, right?
I put new wiring. Same thing, wires.
Okay. Did that take about as long as changing the light fixture?
Longer.
How much longer?
I have no idea how much longer.
A half hour longer, 45 minutes longer, an hour longer?
Give it a half hour longer.
All right. So we have 5 minutes plus a half hour. That's 35 minutes. Then we have miscellaneous jobs around the house, such as repair to cabinets. What kind of repair to cabinets, sir?
Broken hinges, knobs, these kind of things.
What did you do? Broken hinges, so what did you do? You took
Put new hinges.
Put a new hinge on. How many cabinets did you put new hinges on?
No, 4 or 5.
How much do you think all this work that you did is worth, sir?
First of all, no one can pay me what I'm worth.
How much do you think all this was worth? all this work, $50, $60,
$500.
That's an interesting number. Okay, we'll just put that in the hopper for a while. Now, let's get back. We have a $1,700 loan.
Right.
And what else?
Then Mr. Jones needed some money because he was trying to buy some equipment for his restaurant. And he told me the story that he was asking various friends and acquaintances to loan him $2,500. He would repay the money with interest. So I wrote him a check for $2,500 the middle of June, Your Honor.
Show the check to him, please.
Here's the check with his signature on the back.
Look familiar? Yes. All right. Should we take that as a yes, Bird?
I take it as a yes.
Good. What else? What else?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I wanted a friendly relationship, and she wanted an intimate relationship. That's it.
And later today,
I'm looking at you, I'm looking at her. There's no way she's going to get into your dress. I mean, not that you don't have a lovely figure, you do. It's just different figure from hers.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sales manager Sheila Green says her ex-boyfriend Norman Jones swindled her out of more than $5,000. Norman says that he and Sheila were not a romantic couple, but she was a charitable friend.
What else? What else?
After the $2,500 loan, then Mr. Jones was having car trouble, and his car was in the shop for a period of time. He was not able to get it out. It was $200. He was taking a cab back and forth from my house to work. And so finally he asked me to loan him the $200. I agreed to loan him the $200, so he wrote me a check, a post-dated check, which I have tried to cash on many, many, many occasions, and there is no money in this account. Every single time that I went to the bank, there was no money in the account.
Show him this check, would you? Thank you. No money in the account?
Yes, there's money in the account.
Now, he moved out?
Well, what happened, again, there were some other loans after that, Your Honor. All the time, Mr. Jones was still living at my house and driving my car. He had a car. His car was, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I did let him drive my car because he was at the time a very hardworking man, and I thought he was trying to do something for himself, and I really had faith in him at that point in time. However, over a period of time, he started staying out later and later. He was always out, and he always had these business meetings or these dinners and whatever. He stayed out later and later, and it got to the point where he was staying out all night. And I just told him I couldn't accept that any longer. Staying out all night was not acceptable to me. So
He was your boyfriend. You were romantically
involved? No, we wasn't boyfriends. That's the problem here.
Just a second. You believed he was your boyfriend?
He was living at my house, Your Honor. He had keys to my house. He was sleeping in my bed.
No, I never slept in your bed. I never slept in your bed. I never slept in your bed.
Let's not go there.
I was slept in a room or
no,
on the
you
couch.
did not.
Miss Green, Miss Green.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Am I going to be able to tell my side of this?
Absolutely, sir.
Mr. Jones lived at my house for approximately 6 months. He paid no rent. He had keys to my house. He had keys to my car, which he preferred to drive over his own vehicle all the time. I let him come and go as he wished. I didn't ask any questions. I really didn't care until he started staying out all night, and I refused to let him disrespect me and disrespect my home, and I asked him to leave at that point in time. He even laughed in my face when I asked him to do that. And so I told him, I said, if you leave here and go to your place of business, and it was on a Sunday, when you come back, the locks will be changed. And he still left. And I called the locksmith. I looked in the yellow pages. I called the locksmith, and I had the locksmith come and change my locks immediately. Cost me $100 to change the locks.
Best $100 investment you made.
Best $100 I ever made. He called me shortly thereafter, laughing, telling me he thought I was kidding. And I said, no, Norman, I kid you not. You need to come get your clothing right now.
Good. Now, Mr. Jones, I want you to tell me why you don't owe her this money.
Okay, the money that I owe Sheila is the money that I signed with the promissory note. I'm not
And what about the $2,500 you needed for business equipment?
Listen.
What if, no, I understand the $1,700.
Okay, can I explain it?
Yeah, explain to me the
Me and Sheila
$2,500.
was friends. We were friends for a while. Things wasn't going for myself as well as they are now. Sheila offered to help me. She offered me to come and stay at her house. And then she started expressing to me that she wanted an intimate relationship.
I don't think so, Norman.
Miss Green, please.
She started expressing about this intimate relationship that she wanted with me several times. And when I refused it, she said, you're going to have to take your things and leave. The other things that Miss Green done for me, she done because she wanted to help me. I don't know if she was trying to buy me or what she was trying to do. But I told her I didn't want no kind of relationship like this with her. So she got upset and told me to leave. And I took my things and I left.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today...
You're sad. I try to help you because you didn't have a mother, and look at how you treat me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheila Green says she helped Norman Jones out when he needed it. Now she needs the $5,000.
You sound like a very intelligent woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Intelligent, educated, savvy, good businesswoman.
I work hard for my money. I don't need to give it away to people. I was trying to help this man because I believed in his product, and he tried to use me, and that's not acceptable to me.
Now, Miss Green, you may have believed in his product, but as good a judge as you probably are of people in business and historically in your life, you didn't make a good judgment with regard to him, right? Because clearly, based upon the answer that I read, even before I saw him, he's a user. Because anybody that can claim a $500 bill for changing a light fixture is somebody who will resort to anything not to fess up to their obligations.
It was more than a light fixture.
That's what it was. It was a light fixture, sir.
There was several things around the house.
So what? You live there rent-free. You should have scrubbed the floors. Hey, listen, you should have scrubbed the floors if you were living there rent-free.
And maybe I did.
No, I have a cleaning lady.
Listen to me, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones. There isn't a question in my mind that you never took a sponge to the floor, sir. Not a question in my mind. That's a nice tie you're wearing, Mr. Jones.
I'm not too
Tie's going to cost you, along with the rest that you owe this lady, $5,000. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you,
That's
Your
all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Thank you.
I slept in the guest room or in the den, in a chair.
He's lying because he slept in the same bed that I slept in. The whole thing is a lie. Come on.
And now the next case.
Parties on Gonzalez Martinez versus Villanueva. Step forward, please.
18-year-old Shannon Gonzalez and Candace Martinez are suing Shannon's aunt, Regina Villanueva, for the return of their clothes. Regina says she evicted her niece and her friend for not paying the rent.
Who's Miss Gonzalez?
Me.
Is this your aunt?
Yes, it is.
You're Miss Martinez?
Yes.
Well, you can step up here. You're a co-plaintiff.
Okay.
You needed a place to stay for one reason or another because you couldn't live at home.
Yes.
You called your aunt. She took you into her house. Not only did she take you into her house, according to your complaint, but you also brought a couple of friends along.
She said it was okay for them, they could.
Oh, so that was very nice of her, right? Now, all the time that you were living there, you didn't pay rent. You didn't pay for food, right?
Right.
You didn't pay for gas, right?
Right.
You didn't pay for electric.
Right.
You didn't pay for your phone.
Right.
Nor did your friends.
No.
Right?
Right.
Now she finds herself on the other end of a lawsuit because you say, now you're going to tell me why you're suing your aunt.
Because we just want our stuff back. We just want our clothes back. We didn't want to sue her for money or anything, but she didn't want to give it back. So, you know, we didn't have no agreement to pay rent. We offered to pay her rent, and she said, okay, well, I told her when we found the job. How did she expect us to pay rent? She knew we didn't have no job.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old are you?
18.
Why do you expect this lady to support you?
She was only living there for 3 days, even if she was getting Social Security. I mean, 3 days, come on.
How long did you live there?
For less than a week.
No.
How long did you live there?
A month. She stayed a month. Her and her sister stayed a month.
You mean
in
this
my
young
home.
lady's sister?
Candace and her sister stayed a month.
Her sister wasn't even going to live there.
$100 out of her Social Security check on the 4th.
She told me to tell her. Why couldn't she
No.
tell her to give her the $100?
Well, just a second. So that there was an arrangement so that she would be at least recompensed some money.
Agreement to just, we offered.
Put your hand down. You're the boyfriend? Huh?
Yes.
Listen, I read these papers. You don't want to come up here.
Okay.
Because if you come up here, then I'm going to find out how much you contribute to the house. So I would suggest you sit there. Right? Because I have a feeling,
legal.
madam, that
Everything's
everybody
legal.
takes advantage of you.
Yeah, they do, a lot.
Well, that's not too smart. Now, what kind of junk did they leave behind?
They left, this is the stuff that she left behind. Sanitary napkins, her underwear, a few underwear, shorts, shirts. Ain't worth $192, none of it.
Okay.
A binder with her diary.
Would you just transfer
and
that
letters.
merchandise, please?
And
She
letters.
has no addresses.
From
Okay,
her
she
boyfriend.
kept our winter formal dresses because we had just left high
Just a
school.
second. Now you got that stuff, and you got your album. Now, what else do you say your aunt has?
She has our dresses from our winter formal and our prom. She even tried them on in front of us and asked us how she looked in them.
What do you mean your? Your?
My prom dress, my winter formal dress, and my sister's winter formal
Just a
dress.
second. I'm not interested in your sister. Your sister's not here.
She wasn't able to.
Why did you leave your dress at her house?
I left them for her to try on because she was supposed to wear them to a party.
Impossible.
Yeah, impossible.
Y'all listen to me.
You should have saw the
Listen
way
to
they
me.
looked on her.
Impossible. I'm looking at you, I'm looking at her. There's no way she's going to get into your dress. I mean, not that you don't have a lovely figure, you do. It's just different figure from hers.
She got in, but we couldn't get her out.
Listen to me. Have you seen her dress?
I've seen them when she showed me them the first day, and I told her I thought it was cute of them to think they would fit me. The dresses would not fit me.
Have you seen their dresses after she moved out of the house?
No. No.
Why would you leave your dress in the house?
Because I was supposed to go back and get them.
Well, no, that's not an answer. I've already told you that I consider this whole lawsuit very ungrateful on your part.
Why couldn't she just give us our stuff back? We went over there with the cops and everything. She didn't.
You
want
went
to
over
give
with
it
the
back.
cops?
What did
To
she
your
want
aunt's
to do?
house?
Me up.
Who opened her door and let you in the house and said, here's my home, here's my food, here's my everything?
Well, she could give us our clothes. We were going to leave it. We got along fine until she didn't want to give us our stuff back.
You just, listen, are you double talking me? Do I look dumb to you?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I still don't understand why you believe it was appropriate to sue your aunt, because you're not out of dress, according to you, who spent a lot of money on you. You lived there, according to this, 3 months, right?
4 months.
Right?
Yes.
4 months? She fed you?
I was there for 3 months. Yes.
4 months.
She fed you?
Yes.
Good. Your case is dismissed. Now, you want to prove to me that she has your dress?
Well, the boyfriend over there probably sold them at his garage sale, so.
Excuse me.
Just a second.
We don't need money,
That's,
honey.
that's speculation. She says she doesn't have them. Madam, you can't constantly be a sucker. Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand?
I'm not doing this
That
anymore
means
for families.
for anybody.
Anyone.
For anybody. This case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Can we leave the stuff here, Sean?
Back door to your right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Versus Jackson. Step forward, please.
Kathy Tracy says when her boyfriend, 23-year-old Steve Jackson, caught her at her ex-boyfriend's house, he destroyed her property. Now she's taking him to court to recover the damages.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Sir. Judge, this is number 191 on the calendar in the matter of Tracy versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Tracy, your complaint reads like a short novel, but let me see if I understand it. This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
And then you broke up. Is that right?
Yes.
When you broke up with this gentleman, your name is Steve?
Yes, that's right.
You became involved with someone by the name of?
Greg Schwartz.
Greg. Then you moved in with Greg and that didn't work out, correct?
Correct.
Then you got back together with?
Steve.
Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And moved some of your furniture into his apartment.
Correct.
Pick it up from there.
I moved my furniture into his house because I needed a place to store it. Steve offered his house to store it with no problem. So I...
Well, just a second. You not only moved your furniture into the house, am I correct that you moved yourself into the house?
No, I did not.
Just your furniture?
Correct.
So you didn't stay at his house at all?
I did stay at his house, but not permanently. I used his house for storage of my furniture. I lived with my grandparents at their home.
Okay. So you weren't dating him at that point when you moved your furniture back into the house?
Yes, I did. Yes, we were.
So you were. You had renewed your relationship with him?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I moved my things into his house because he said it was okay. It was only a temporary situation until I decided to move back out again and take my things. And after spending a few months with him, we both realized that our relationship wasn't working out, and I broke it off with him. He became upset and angry and destroyed my furniture and belongings.
What furniture did he destroy, Tracy?
I have estimates and pictures.
Just tell me.
My couches, my bed, my VCR. I brought my VCR here for you to see. My comforter, my lamps. There's a garage door involved here, but that's later. My dining room table and my patio furniture. And
okay. Did you get any of your things back?
Yes, I recovered damaged property as well as what wasn't damaged.
What wasn't damaged?
My desk, and I would have to say that's about it.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Now, I read your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct, sir, that you do not deny destroying this furniture?
That's correct.
Okay, let's start with why you destroyed it.
Okay, the first thing why is because we didn't, she did not call it off. What actually happened was I found out that she was doing something behind my back with the same gentleman that we moved the furniture out of, his house.
So you found out, according to you, that the plaintiff, Miss Tracy, was seeing Mr. Schwartz again.
That's right.
And that made you?
Upset, angry. That happened in June of '97. It was found out on June 20th. Confronted her about it. She lied time and time again, even though I knew that I saw her car at his house. I left a note on her car. I'm sure she didn't bring that with her today.
So you found her car in front of his house. What were you doing in front of his house?
Driving by to work.
You didn't have to go out of your way in order to do
not
that?
At all.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I have to...
Just a second. I'll get back to you. So you left a note on her car?
Right.
Saying that caught you, something like that?
Basically.
All right. But that wasn't enough. Then you got very angry.
No, actually after that, I confronted her about it. After a couple days of lying to me, she finally admitted it. And then we were still talking with each other about it. I can't really say if we were together or not. And about a month after that, I was just upset one night and got sick of seeing the stuff that she gave me at my house. Had the dining room table in my dining area and got upset and just didn't want it anymore. And that's why I destroyed it. I did not want to see it anymore. I didn't want it in my house anymore. I didn't want to have anything to do with her anymore.
Tell me how you destroyed it.
Some of the chairs that were broken were kind of already broken because they were, like, if you step on the chair or if you rest your foot on one of the wooden rests.
I mean, did you pick up the furniture and fling it and hit it? All right, so you destroyed it.
Yeah.
Wasn't just the dining room table and
It was
chairs.
a dining room table and chairs, a couch.
How did you destroy the couch?
Threw it off my balcony. Because it was up in my bedroom, because she gave me some of the furniture.
We'll get to the giving, because that's
Okay.
your defense to this action. You say she gave you all this furniture,
Right.
and therefore it was yours to destroy. Tell me how she gave you the furniture, Mr. Jackson.
In March, the middle of March of this year, 97, we were together. She came over to my house one day, found out that her ex-boyfriend was cheating on her.
This same Mr. Schwartz.
Found out he was cheating on her, got really mad, decided to go to his condo where she had her furniture, and I offered to help move the stuff out along with two of my roommates, who we all have trucks, so we decided to go over there. And one day we moved all the stuff out of the garage, out of the townhouse. And I asked her, where do you want to put this? She said, well, I don't even want this stuff. Why don't you want it? It reminds me of him. And I go, well, if you don't want it, then, you know, what are you going to do with it? She said, do you want to take it? I go, I don't want all this stuff. Had couches, a table, lamp, and some personal items, kitchenware and a mattress, Christmas ornaments. I go, I don't want all this stuff. But the stuff that I can use, fine, I'll take. Dining room table, a couple couches, a lamp, and that's it. Everything else went in my garage.
What about the VCR over there that's got a big dent in it?
That was not for me. I don't know how she can justify me doing that. She had the VCR. She had it in my house, but I did not touch her VCR.
You mean when you were destroying all the other stuff, you didn't just happen, one of the couches or the dining room table and chairs or something didn't plop itself on that VCR?
I didn't walk into the closet and look for a VCR just to destroy. She didn't have her stuff out in my house. She had
I
a certain
understand that.
couple
Somebody
things.
destroyed that.
I don't know who.
You were in a rage. Is that a fair statement,
That could
sir?
be a good statement, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Steve couldn't handle the fact that I didn't want to be with him anymore. He was drunk. And he was drunk. But, I mean, it's apparent that he has a drinking problem.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Steve Jackson admits he flew into a rage when he found out his girlfriend, Kathy Tracy, was spending time with her ex-boyfriend. But he says the property he destroyed belonged to him, and Tracy has no grounds for this lawsuit.
Mr. Jackson, I find it difficult. She says that she just stored her stuff at your house while she was looking for another place. I don't think that you develop a sentimental attachment for furniture that reminds you of another boyfriend. That doesn't make sense. Common sense suggests to me that a couch is a couch, and a dining room table and chairs is a dining room table and chairs. And just because an old boyfriend ate off of it or sat on it doesn't mean that you don't want to look at it anymore, sir. Because if she was dating you again, she was still going to look at the furniture, right? If it was in your house. And she was going to be looking at the same furniture that Schwartz sat on and ate off of. So why would she say, I don't want to look at it anymore, and then put it in a place where she have to look at it every single day?
She said she didn't want it anymore.
You mean
said,
she
"I do not
didn't
want
want
this
to
stuff."
possess it anymore? But
I'm just telling you what she said. When we moved it into my house, she
Mr.
said, I do not
Jackson.
want this stuff.
Your Honor.
I
That
have
sounds
witnesses.
like nonsense. Yeah. Do I have any witnesses here?
Yes.
There are a
You
lot
do.
of people on either side, but important witnesses. I don't want any nonsense witnesses because it's a busy day.
Can I?
Yeah?
Yes. Good.
Step up here. State your name.
My name's Chris.
Chris, you have a last name.
Chris Delacroce.
Okay.
I helped him move out the furniture out of Schwartz's house.
Yes.
Okay. It was my understanding that she didn't want it because it reminded her
I don't want to know what
of
your
him.
understanding was. Your understanding is relevant to you. It's not particularly relevant to me. I want to know what you saw and heard.
I saw her furniture move into our house.
And what did you hear her say, if anything? Right here. Nothing.
Nothing right to me. No.
Good. Did you hear her say anything to anyone else?
No.
Good. Sit. You have any other important witnesses for me to hear, Steve?
No.
Perfect. Do you have any witnesses you wish to me to hear? Important ones.
Yes, I do. I have Steve's former roommate who lived in the house with him before my furniture was moved in there, while it was moved in there, and after it was destroyed, and I took what was remaining of it.
Step up here. State your name, please.
Vanessa Williams.
Miss Williams, did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Jackson about the furniture?
Mm-hmm.
Means a yes or a no?
Yes, I did.
When did you have that conversation about the furniture?
The night after it happened.
The night after it was destroyed?
Mm-hmm. And
No. Was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he say to you?
He said that he asked me that he said that he felt bad that he did this, and he asked me if he should reimburse her for this. And I told him whatever he wants to do. I didn't really want to get involved at the time.
Were you his girlfriend at the time?
No.
You just was staying there with him?
Platonic roommate. I rented a room from him.
So he asked you whether he should reimburse her?
Right.
Mr. Jackson, a couple of other questions I have for you. Why don't you sit down, Miss Williams? Thank you. Did you have any of your own stuff in the apartment?
My house?
Yeah, in your house.
Yes, I did.
To destroy your own stuff?
No.
So you had selective rage. Right?
That's correct.
Your selective rage, Mr. Jackson, is going to cost you. Can I have a list of items that
yes, there's
that were
pictures,
destroyed?
estimates.
Thank you. Good.
And, Your Honor, I also wanted to state when I filed this complaint, I made it for $5,000, but I didn't exactly total it up. It doesn't quite come up to $5,000, and I put the price difference that I came up with.
Well, what is it?
$3,939.52, I believe.
Is that what all of these things cost you?
Actually, I took estimates only because the places where I bought this furniture either are not in business anymore, so I got the closest estimate to my furniture that I had.
Well, was this almost $4,000 more expensive or less expensive than what you actually paid for the furniture?
That is about the approximate price range of
Not
furniture.
price range. I want to know what you actually paid for the furniture.
To be exact?
Yeah, to be exact.
About because
I have the bills here.
$3,200, but there is something else included into that I did not buy. That's the garage door that he broke.
Well, you didn't have a garage.
Where I was staying the night that he destroyed my furniture.
You mean at Schwartz's house?
Correct.
Let Schwartz sue him, unless you paid Schwartz for the garage door.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to pay for it.
No, you won't. You don't have to pay for it because he broke it. Let Schwartz sue him. How much was the garage door?
$620.
Okay, so we're down to $3,200. You just bought this furniture, looks like.
Well, it's on hold.
What do you mean it's on hold?
It's an estimate. They wouldn't...
Miss Tracy.
Yes?
How old was the furniture that was there?
Less than 2 years old, and it was brand new. I kept it in perfect condition. That furniture was, I cherish that. And I took very good care. It was immaculate. It was brand new. There was nothing wrong with anything.
All right, now let me take a look at this furniture, what it looks like. There are two sofas. Did you throw both sofas out?
No.
Where's the other one?
There was nothing wrong with the other sofa. She moved it out later on. There's nothing wrong with it.
Your Honor,
Was
he
there anything wrong with
urinated on it. He slashed it up, but he didn't throw it over his balcony because it was too big.
No, that is absolutely not true.
Let's not talk about slashing it. Did you do anything else to it?
No, that is not true. I did not urinate on her couch.
Well, that's
Did you let anybody else do it?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He does not have any ambition in life except to sit on the couch and drink beer and watch the football game.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Tracy is in court with her ex-boyfriend, Steve Jackson, because she claims he destroyed her property in a jealous rage.
Mr. Jackson, you slash up her mattress?
No.
No?
I did not.
It's all slashed.
I didn't slash her mattress. What I did was destroyed the dining room table, the chairs, the lamp, and the couch.
That is not true.
Well, who destroyed this?
I don't know. She's had the furniture ever since July, the middle of July.
Well,
and then 1 month later, she comes in and...
Miss Tracy?
Yes?
When did you get the mattress back?
I got the mattress back when I moved all the furniture. The night was July 17th is when he destroyed all of my furniture at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right, okay.
I picked up my furniture that day, that afternoon. He let me come and recover the damaged property.
Are you telling me that you took out this damaged mattress?
Yes.
Why did you take out the damaged mattress?
To use it as evidence, because I was obviously going to take him to court over this.
Who helped move out the furniture?
I had 2 movers helping me.
Show this to him, please. Did you... Mr. Jackson, I want you to look at that very carefully, sir.
No, I did not do that. That's not my place. She's had the mattresses ever since the middle of July and not touched that. Now I can turn to the pictures of the couch and the table. Can I look through this?
The couch isn't in there.
I see a picture of a garage door opener.
I'm not interested in the
A
garage door
mattress.
opener. That's
Well, I
another
don't
lawsuit.
see how she can justify $3,200.
Just a second. I asked you about the mattress. Did you do that to the mattress?
No, I didn't. I did not touch her mattress.
It keeps getting better.
Who are you?
I'm Danielle Crockett.
How do you know her?
I've been her best friend for about 4 years.
Best friend, did you see the furniture when it came back to her house after she moved it out? Did you? Who are you?
I'm Nicole Halterman. Not that day. Actually, I had gone to Steve's house that night because I'm friends with his roommate, Vanessa. And I saw the furniture damaged.
Did you
in his
see the
house.
mattress?
Not the mattress, but everything else.
She'd already taken the mattress out of the house.
She took the mattress and the couches, but she left the table because it was in too many pieces to take. The patio furniture was in too many pieces to take, and the lamps. I saw those in his backyard. Looked like they had been thrown over the balcony.
Okay, but the mattress she had taken, she didn't take any of the property that was destroyed, is that right?
Well, the table was in, like, toothpicks.
Just answer my question.
Okay.
She didn't take any of the property that was destroyed. She left all the badly damaged property there. Is that what you're saying to me?
She took, like, the VCR and the mattresses, all the other stuff that was destroyed.
Just a second. Did you see her take the mattress out?
No, because I was at work when she
So
did
you
that.
don't know whether the mattress was destroyed or not?
Well, Steve had admitted to me that he had destroyed it.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
That night when I was at his house, he said that he felt really bad that he did it.
Did what?
Destroyed the couches, the mattresses, the table.
He said the mattresses?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. Well, he mentioned the mattresses, the table. He mentioned everything.
Okay. Good.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Mr. Jackson, when you have a fit of temper, you have to pay. Understand? I assume that that's the comforter. Is that what that's doing here?
Yes. Would you like to see
All
it?
right. I just assumed that that's what it
Your
was.
Honor.
Not part of the new decor in the courtroom. When you have a fit of temper, you have to pay. And your story is a lot of who shot John with regard to her giving you the furniture that she gave you because she didn't want to look at it anymore because it had an emotional attachment to Mr. Schwartz. So it's going to cost you. It's not going to cost you in this lawsuit the garage door, because I don't want to hear about that. If you damaged Mr. Schwartz's garage door, he'll take that up with you at some other time. Ms. Tracy, I am awarding you $3,000 to replace the furniture. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your
Parties
Honor.
are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the
Versus Hager. Step forward, please.
dairy farmer Bird Miller wants 31-year-old Jason Hager to pay the damage caused to his pickup truck after clubbing it. Jason claims it was self-defense.
Order. All rise. Judge, number 204 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hager. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Shame on you both. Always strikes me is when two adult men get into a car and get into a contest and let their testosterone take off and rule their heads, there's trouble. Especially when there's a child in the car, like this gorgeous little blonde thing. Mr. Miller, you're suing Mr. Hager because you say that after some sort of a dispute in your car, he was driving his, you yours, he attacked your car with a club.
Yes.
And caused almost $400 worth of damage to the car. Tell me how it started, sir.
I was making a turn off of Valley View Street. I was going south. There's a frontal road there beside of it. Hager was coming, going south also on it. He run the stop sign. And as a result of it, I almost hit him. If I hadn't stopped, I would have hit him. I blew my horn. He raised his finger at me, and we proceeded down the frontal road.
So you're both now going in the same direction?
We're both going in the same direction.
And this is your grandchild?
Yes.
She was in the car with you?
Yes.
Where was she sitting, front or back?
Well, it was a pickup, so she's in the front.
Right next to you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We came to an alley that runs down behind a shopping mall, and we proceeded down it, and we got to the end of the stores.
Which car was first and which car was second?
He was following me.
Just a second. His car was first, your car was second.
Yes.
Were you following him, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I was behind him. I mean,
were you following?
I'm going in that direction.
He was chasing me.
Just a second. I'm going to get to you in a second, sir. You said you got to an alley.
Well, it's an alley, and it's also behind the store, but it's a parking lot also.
Well, were you going into that parking lot, sir?
No, I wasn't going into the parking lot.
So you were actually not behind him. You were following him.
Okay, I was following him.
Now, why were you following him?
So I could get his tag number.
Okay. And then what happened?
As we got to the end of the stores, there's also another small frontal road that leads to the front of the stores. He partially made the turn and stopped, jumped out, grabbed his club, and ran at me while I'm stopped. I had, in the meantime, stopped. He ran about 30 feet towards my truck, ran up to the side of me, took a swing at me. I pulled my truck forward, and he hit the back of my cab.
Can I see the damage to your car?
If you'll notice, Your Honor, the damage is at an angle as if he was swinging something, and you'll see that it's also right in line with me in the truck. So if I hadn't pulled forward, he would have hit me in the truck.
This has an open top, sir?
No. It's you looking at... May I get it to you? Oh, come on, surely. I take better pictures than that.
I got it. I got it now. Oh, I thought it was a convertible truck. I hadn't seen one of those. All right. Now I got it. All right, Mr. Hager, let's hear you, sir.
Well, what he said is correct as far as he was following me. I was very close to my home. I didn't want him, I wasn't going to go home knowing he was following me. I became fearful, wasn't sure what I should do. So yeah, I stopped, and in an attempt to defend myself, knowing that not knowing what he's going to do, I did take my club. He sees me stop. He's coming at me. He puts his head out the window of his truck and says, "I'm going to run you over." That's when he started to come at me with the truck. I jump out of the way, and he backs up a little bit and comes at me again. The second time is when he came close enough to me that I could swing and hit the truck.
All right, so I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hager. You live in that area, sir?
Yes. I was less than a block away from my home.
And how long have you lived there?
About 18 months.
So you know where the local police precinct is?
Actually, I found it after this.
You mean you didn't know before?
No. Well, it's a very large city. I wasn't sure where to go.
I don't believe you, sir. You see, I see this. You see, I see this around here.
Well,
and I'm like a truth machine. So don't tell me that you didn't know where to find a policeman.
I went to. Well, no. That would have been the alternative. Was drive around.
That's an alternative rather than getting out of your car with a club.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem to me to be logical, sir, that if you're in fear of your life, you are defending yourself against a 2-ton truck with a 2-pound club.
Right.
You see, that doesn't make sense. To me, what makes sense is if you're in fear, you stay in your car. What kind of a car were you driving?
A Camaro.
So you stay in your Camaro and you drive around until you see a police car, if you don't know where the local police precinct is.
Right.
Right.
But I thought of that after, but in the fear, I wasn't thinking that logically.
Listen to me, Mr. Hager. Why were you in fear, sir? You were in your car, windows closed, right? Windows closed.
No.
You could have closed the windows, Mr. Hager, right? You do have
yes.
electric windows in your Camaro?
Yes.
So you press a button, you close the window, and you keep driving, and you say to yourself, I got some nut here behind me. I'm not going to get out of this car. I'm going to stay in my car. But you get out of your car. Where was the club?
On the passenger seat.
You pick up the club, and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Wonder how afraid he was when he stuck his finger up. Could we ask him that question?
And later today,
Make me look like a liar. Make me look bad when you know you was stripping and you know you was working, Nicole. Don't stand here and lie.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bird Miller says Jason Hager's gesture led to violence, smashing Bird's pickup.
You pick up the club and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager. It doesn't, it's illogical, sir.
To drive around looking for the police, I needed to, at some point, decide I'm going to stop and defend myself. That was it.
Defend yourself against what, sir?
This gentleman.
He's in his car.
I don't know that he's going to threaten to run me over. I think he's going to get out.
How can he run you over in your Camaro, sir? Sitting in your car, how can he run you over, Mr. Hager?
He can't.
Right. Sitting in your car, he can't run you over. Only when you're outside of your car, standing there armed with a weapon, can he run you over. Your mistake was getting out of the car. And then you hit his truck. So you were in a combat posture with a weapon. I mean, I'm not suggesting that what this man did was correct. I think, Mr. Miller, to be quite honest with you, sir, you're old enough to use your brains, and if this guy ran a stop sign, as you say, of course, you didn't run the stop sign. Is that correct?
Correct.
I knew that. I knew that's what you would say. But you have a very precious cargo. Not you, her. And so if you have a very precious cargo, and if you were fortunate enough, and God was watching you, and you didn't have an accident at that stop sign, you take a deep breath, and you say, phew, finished. I'm grateful that there was no accident, and you keep going. If you can get his license, that's fine. But to follow him into an alley is not swift.
It's really not an alley, Your Honor. I understand what you're saying, but
you understand what I'm saying.
I don't mean it's a,
I understand, but you got hot.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not denying it at all.
Yeah, well, you want to get hot with you alone in the car. That's one thing. But you don't get hot when you have a baby in the car, especially a baby that looks like that.
Could I add something to this?
Sure, sir.
Okay. He said I almost hit him there at the stop sign. If you look at the pictures, you will see there's a medium between Valley View and where he would have been sitting. So, in other words, I would have had to jump across the medium in order to hit him.
Interesting, not terribly relevant, because we're not talking about what happened at the stop sign. What we're talking about was Mr. Hager's. You both exercised poor judgment on that day, in my view. But Mr. Hager's judgment is going to cost him the amount that you claim you spent or will spend to fix your car, and I assume you have a bill for that.
Your Honor, I have a bill for the damage. I don't have a bill for a rental car. It'll take 3 days to fix the truck, which is $25 a day.
Well, Mr. Miller, for your bad judgment, it's going to cost you to rent your car.
All right.
For his bad judgment, it's going to cost him to fix your car. And the grand total here is $279.80 to fix your car. Mr. Hager, it was a very dumb thing that you did, because he may not have been the kind of person that he is, and he may have, in fact, run you over. And
I'm sure of that.
And your 2-pound club wasn't going to help you. So,
well, you know, my question is, if he cares enough about this truck to get it fixed, why is he chasing people and threatening them with it?
Mr. Hager, he wasn't smart to try to chase you to get your plate number, and I assume that that's what he was trying to do. He did not get out of his cab. You got out of your car. Dumb. Stupid. And not only did you get out of your car, you got out of your car with a weapon. So it's going to cost you. The amount it's going to cost you is the amount that it's going to cost to fix his car. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Bill.
Out the back door to your right, please.
Come on.
Thanks guys, thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Again guys, thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Such a blessing, yeah. Again guys, thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Thankful for such a blessing, yeah. Again guys, thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Again guys, thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Again guys, thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. again guys thanks for watching our video till end. If you want to watch more videos like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.